if you haven't heard, we're all rather mad as hell around here. Good Friday afternoon to you. I am Dylan Radigan. And look at the occupation protests. Look at the Tea Party. Look at the congressional approval ratings. And, of course, look at the incredible energy in our own mad as hell Get Money Out campaign. A geyser of energy is erupting around us. We believe this amendment is the harness to take it forward as we near our first ever digital double of 200,000. We head towards 400 from there. More on that later, but we begin with mad as hell in Lower Manhattan. What a day. After winning their fight against being thrown out of so-called park cleanup, the newly empowered occupiers, with thousands descending in support, left the park and headed for Wall Street. Hundreds hopping police barriers, clashing with cops, more than a dozen arrested. But as we know, it is by no means just New York at this point. There are, in fact, occupations in nearly 1,700 cities worldwide, with talk tomorrow of growing to be one of the largest global protests ever. Here in the U.S., the protests are largely being led by young Americans, many who are drowning in college loan debt. They were promised a college degree was the best way to get ahead. In fact, they were fear-mongered into doing it as they pursued the prestige rather than the learning, and the debt to pursue the prestige rather than the learning. But the numbers don't lie. It's great business for colleges and banks and disastrous for our young people. Little more than 4% of the most recent college grads are registered as unemployed. Sounds pretty good, right? But when you look at the actual numbers, 14% cannot find any kind of full-time work, and at least, if not more than 20% of those who do find full-time work are working as baristas at Starbucks rather than deploying their degree. Not that there's anything wrong with going to be a barista at Starbucks, but I just don't see why you put yourself $30,000 in debt and go to college 4 years to do it. And talk about crushing debt. Student loans now surpass credit card debt in this country, and there is no recourse. There is no way out of that debt. The average American college student graduates more than $24,000 in debt as they are fear-mongered in the pursuit of prestigious institutions that may have nothing to do with the skills or needs or learning that is possible today. We start with Natalia Abrams, media spokesperson and one of the founding facilitators of the group Occupy Colleges, which has been sweeping this country. Also, Tamara Draut, vice president of policy and programs at the Demos think tank. She is author of Strapped: Why America's 20 and 30-somethings Simply Cannot Get Ahead. Natalia, tell me what the momentum is like within the community at the occupation where you are and in general.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Dylan, so much for having us and helping us promote Occupy Colleges on your network. It's just fantastic. The momentum is growing. In the last 2 weeks, we've had thousands of students 2 times in a row walk out and protest in solidarity with Wall Street. This completely resonates with us. We are strapped with mounting student debt and lack of opportunities after college, and that's why we are the 99%.
Yeah, if you look, Tamara, the marketing of the fear-mongering of pursuit of prestige for infinite debt is a very good way to exploit an 18-year-old, wouldn't you say?
Well, you know, Dylan, it's a real tragedy, because what we have is this debt for diploma system that, you know, I found disturbing even when we had a good economy. But now that the economy is in the toilet and we have a whole bunch of college grads with $24,000 in student loan debt who can't get a job, the debt for diploma system is a disaster. And, you know, an important thing here is that, you know, it used to be you didn't have to get a college degree in order to have a decent job that paid a good wage and decent benefits. And we told a whole generation, hey, now you got to go to college and you got to take out debt to get that degree. And here we have a generation with a big debt burden and, you know, a pretty grim and uncertain future in front of it. So to me, it's completely understandable why they're doing Occupy College, and they're really the backbone of the Occupy Wall Street movement.
If you look at, Natalia, at the direct actions that those who agree with you in the college community will be taking, that you are talking about to confront the system that has disrespected you and so many of those members of your generation for so long, what is being planned?
Well, as you said, we're mad as hell, and we're not going to stop. We're in solidarity with Wall Street, and as long as they're out there, we're going to continue organizing students. The next thing that seems to be growing a really big consensus is a teach-in, a time for us to educate ourselves and our communities about what this is all about. We really need to do what schools do best and educate.
And if you were to look at the rate of growth, not just in occupied colleges, Tamara, but at the occupation in general, how much of it do you think really is an honest reflection of the surge of energy, the frustration? I mean, are we watching energy, basically, pent-up energy, play out before all of our eyes?
Yeah, I mean, it's been stunning to watch, and I've been down to Occupy Wall Street in New York, and I'm actually here in Dayton, Ohio, visiting my family. I grew up in Ohio, and I got to tell you, this is a message that really resonates with people across the country. I asked my mom, who's sort of a quintessential swing voter, what do you think of this Occupy Wall Street? And her answer, you know, without even missing a beat, was, it's about time somebody's out there standing up for us. So I think it's a message that's resonating with people. It has broad appeal, and it's spot on in terms of its message about focusing on, you know, we are the 99%, and focusing a lot of its grievance on you know, the fact that our political system does not seem to be able to look out for the common good at this point.
Yeah, and a lot of the reason, obviously, that I believe that, and a couple 100,000 other folks agree with me at this point, growing very quickly, is that because of the auction system by which special interest purchase policy, we could sit here till we're blue in the face and debate the best educational system in the world. As long as it's a threat to somebody in the housing or student finance business, they'll just pay off the government to make sure it does not happen. Natalia, how clear do you think it is in the Occupy College community how incredibly distorting and disruptive to the political debate this auction process has become?
I think it resonates very much with us. We actually wrote a letter for Get Money Out. We got together through Facebook and really believe that that's the first step. It's an action step. If we can get money out of politics, then we can really start to talk about all these other issues. But as you said, if everybody's being bought off, where do we go from there? So we have to make an amendment so our government is no longer bought off by the lobbyists and the large multinational corporations in Wall Street.
Tamara, do you agree with that?
I do. I mean, I think the fundamental challenge here is, you know, I think everybody in Occupy Wall Street has said this so simply, that we're never going to be able to rebuild the middle class until we get the corporate interests out of our politics, until we have a government who's able to stand up and work on behalf of the 99% of us. So I do agree. And, you know, unfortunately, it seems like, you know, young people are looking at an economic situation that isn't going to provide them with a decent future, and they're dealing with a political situation that isn't providing them with a voice. And so I think they've done the right thing, which is they've hit the streets. And I think most people across the country are really, really glad they did.
In your book, what are the things that you highlight as the most egregious offenses to this generation?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to name them. You know, the reality is we've seen a sea change. This generation is dealing with the fallout of 3 decades of horrible conservative trickle-down economic policies, whether it's disinvesting in our public colleges. You know, when I went to college, Dylan, probably you too, you know, it's triple what it used to cost to go to a state college a generation ago. Our roads and bridges are in disrepair. You know, you can't get a middle-class job today without a college degree. You know, unions have fallen. We've signed trade deals, and we just signed 3 more that are leaving American workers behind. So, you know, this generation is reaching adulthood at the combination, sort of the height of all of these bad policies, and at the height of rising inequality and a political system that just doesn't seem capable of listening to the needs of the people.
And how can you listen to the needs of the people when 94% of the time the person who raises the most money wins? And the reason the person raises the most money is not because they were listening to the people, they're listening to the people that are paying them. We watched it in bank reform. We watched it in healthcare reform. We've seen it with energy time and time again. The money comes in from the banks and the healthcare companies, the energy companies, to prevent a real debate that would bring us into the 21st century. One of the things, Natalia, that I feel like I have learned the most from people like yourself, although I haven't met you per se before, but I've met a lot of folks from your age, and I've learned a lot from a lot of folks that are similar to your age just in the past few weeks, is the way your generation solves problems is so revolutionary relative to the rest of the world by virtue of the openness of the way that you do it. You don't sit around and have a meeting and have three people decide what's going to happen. There truly is an embrace of this open source mentality, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on how it is you think your generation can educate my generation and those older than me as to how significant the change in modern problem solving really is, which is second nature, I suspect, to a lot of folks your age.
Right. Well, I would say that part of it is social networking, the fact that we have been able to communicate on a broad spectrum with each other and see the rest of the world. I mean, that's what's helped it, you know, in Tahrir Square and all over the world, by being able to connect to other youth and see what's going on. So one of the main things that we try to do is be more truly democratic. I think we've been so frustrated with what's been going on with Washington, seeing what's happened with the debt ceiling, and that our own government can't come to any type of consensus or decision, that it's really helped influence us that obviously status quo is not working, and we've had to come up with something else. And I think one of the things the older generations could learn is just to listen, to first observe what we're doing before they comment on our GAs and on the way we're choosing to organize, because I think it is new and revolutionary. And obviously, like I said before, status quo hasn't been working, so why not try something new?
And my last comment, Natalia, in my own experience so far, is that it seems that everybody has a different reason they are occupying. Everybody wants to jam the media and the political status quo, want to jam the occupation into some sort of an agenda. What are your demands? Tell us what you want. When the fact of the matter is, you have each individual person that I have met as fundamentally there for a different reason, but they are in agreement that there is a breach of a fairness principle. Now, how confident are you in your ability and the organization's ability to reject the media and the political clientele or classes' desperate desire to categorize you?
Well, my big thing is that we have been around for less than 30 days, and they're expecting us to have more answers than our government that's been around for over 250 years. So give us some time.
Hear, hear. You have, as you know, our full support. Tamara, congrats again on the book. I think that it really captures so much of it. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's worth it. Strapped: Why America's 20 and 30-somethings Can't Get Ahead. And Natalia Abrams, an occupier and one of the spokespeople right now and facilitators for the occupation. Natalia Abrams. Occupy colleges, I suspect, in full effect come the global day of occupation tomorrow. I'm sure you can find out more on the internet. Is this a place that people should go? We'll put it on our website for sure.